Welcome to Responsible Chicken Keeping and Breeding. See, I didn't even get it right. Jim finally wasn't here to interrupt me, and I didn't get it right. So, responsible chicken breeding, and Jim is out of Wi Fi. So, if his Wi Fi comes back home at work or at home, he's going to join us. But until then, it's just me. Oh, wait, no, we actually do have a guest. Um, Luckily, I've got, see, nervous. Um, Stan Luther is fairly local to me, and I've ordered a few. Here's Seth. Jim wants me to talk to people, so Seth, sorry, no Jim, just me, but I got somebody. um, but he's gonna come on and talk to us about. He's a coop builder. I've ordered a couple of coops from him, and I like his stuff, and I think everybody's always interested in building coops and how to do better and how to do a better job with that. So we're going to go ahead and get started because I got nothing to say. Thanks, guys. Stan, thanks for being here.
Well, thank you for having me, Karen. I appreciate you inviting me.
So you Seth says he forgives me for being tongue-tied. So you run, let's see, Chicken Partner, right? Is that
Correct.
the name of
Yes.
your business? So he's willing to give us his phone number, everybody. So beware. But on Facebook, that's where I see most of your stuff. On your Facebook feed, I'm sure you don't post every coop you build on there, but
No, but I post a lot of them. I've been building chicken coops since 2012, and started Chicken Partner back then, and I've been building them since 2012. And pretty much I've got a lot of them on my Facebook page, Chicken Partner.
okay. I think you told me this. I ordered my first coop from you. You said in 2014, right?
2014, yes, ma'am.
Right. And at that time, I talked him into driving down into my backyard to deliver it, and then he could not get his vehicle out of my backyard. So
I've come a long way since then. I make sure my 4-wheel drive is working and all that. So I've come a long way since even 2014 with being able to deliver.
Actually, I haven't let anybody drive back there since. So I felt it was more my fault than your fault. So
now since I built back in 2014, I started building them. Back in 2014 when I was building them, I was delivering them pretty much intact, and then just doing the rest of it. I've decided back in late 2014, I decided to start building them in panels. So I actually build them in panels, deliver and assemble them on site now. And I like to say I've perfected that, but I build them in panels, deliver and assemble them on site, so I can actually go through a standard gate, walk-in gate or anything like that, so people don't have to take fences down. I can actually put them in backyards, and it's helped me come a long way with the business.
I want to show just 2 pictures, and these are not recent ones, so don't judge him based on these. So my first one that he built, I ended up dividing it in half, and then I put a second story on it because I divided it in half. So I don't want to show that one because it's not fair to him what I've done since then. But the main thing that I really like about your coops is that they're made of wood with actual framing. So you can make changes to that. Not changes, but I mean, you can add on to them. You can, but you can actually screw into them, and it's actual wood, not like the stuff you buy where you're like, oh, I'm going to add a door, and then it just falls apart when you go to, screw something into it. So I like that. So the second one I ordered from you was, I still use it as my quarantine coop now. So anybody who comes in or leaves if I go to lots of times we go to educational things, and I'll take some birds, and then they come back and they have to live in here for a while before they can go back into the backyard. And then most recently, everybody knows I'm building some rental spot. I'm temporarily moving my birds, and I was just thinking my males are going to be cold by themselves without anybody to huddle up to, and I'm like, I just sort of need shelters, not really even coops, but just shelters for them to go into at night, so they've got a little spot. So you think to yourself, oh, I just need, let's see, 3 by 4 and that. And then I'm fine with, oh, it's just a box. I'll build it. And then you're like, wait a minute, I need 20, 30, 32. Okay, I need to order them. It's just the quantity gets overwhelming. So I think I emailed him about like, would you consider building me a custom coop like that? And I mean, he delivered them in less than 2 weeks. I was not expecting that when right now when everything else is so back ordered. So
Well, I
that was
appreciate that. Speaking of contents that you build the coops out of, that's a critical thing. You do need to start with good wood, good raw products, because that'll make all the difference in the world. I know one of the things that we mentioned earlier is whether you're buying a coop from somebody building it or whether you're building it from scratch, lumber you may have. One of the best things you can do is plan the details of it. I've had too many people that, for lack of a better way, it winds up just being a shanty because of the way they just start putting things together. Just take the time to think of it. And my coops, I like to build with, I use pressure treated pine because it's a strong wood, but it does give you some flexibility with adding to it. All my coops are designed to be added to. If you get a 6x8 and you decide I love chickens, you can certainly add to it. But that is a key, is to start with a good quality structure from the beginning.
Just in seeing your posts on Facebook, it seems like you're putting coops in everywhere. Do you have a service area or?
That service area keeps expanding. I've got coops in 22 states and the District of Columbia now. I've got coops in as far west as Louisiana. I've actually got one in Texas that a gentleman actually came and picked up. So I don't even claim that one just because I didn't put it together. I've got them in Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, of course, North Carolina, South Carolina. I basically got them in every state from the Mississippi to the East Coast, as far up as Kentucky, Ohio, and in the Midwest. I've got a couple of coops in New York. I've got one in Connecticut, Delaware. So I've actually got them, all over, and it's exciting. And again, being able to do them in panels is giving me the ability to be able to build 5 or 6 at a time and deliver multiple ones, so I can do it at a cost-effective rate.
I was gonna say it has to be more expensive to buy a coop in another state. The further you have to go, right? I mean, there has to.
It's $100 for delivery and complete setup. So I mean, whether it's in North Carolina or West Virginia, and the only time I'll charge a little bit extra if I have to go up into up the I-95 corridor where you run into all the tolls. I'll charge a little extra for the tolls, basically.
I think you might want to talk to your accountant about that.
My wife's given me permission so far.
Like I said, that doesn't sound logical, but okay, it's a good deal. So you have some standard models, right? I mean,
correct.
Like if you go to your website, chickenpartner.com, is that your website?
The website's actually being worked on right now.
Okay.
I mean, the best place to go is my Facebook page, Chicken
page.
Partner.
Okay. But I think mine back in the day was like I think I modify everything. I can't stand to get everything from, but the Lodge, is that your most popular?
That's by far my most popular coop is the Lodge.
Yeah, let me just show one just again so that so this is a 6x8. What do you think the biggest coop you've built is? Either
it's 12 by 32.
12 by 32. All right.
Yeah, that was a 12 by 32 double coop. Went to Columbia, South Carolina.
Okay. I think we might have a picture of that. I feel like.
Yeah, it's in one of the later pictures. The Lodge, the basic setup of the Lodge is it's got a coop area and a run area. It's got in that picture the side to the right is the coop area. It has built-in nesting boxes with easy access for egg collection from the outside. And then you've got a run area to your left there. You've got a full-size door into the coop, a full-size door into the run. And then there is a center wall with a poultry door in between, so you can lock them in the coop or the run side.
Beth says, I think you'd spend more than that delivery charge on fuel and hotels on some of those trips to.
Well, again, I'm delivering 5 or 6 at a time, so it's a situation in which I've got multiple coops typically going to the area, so it's cost efficient.
All right. I don't want to be blamed for you raising that rate. So I'm going to stop harping on it. But um so okay, so that's the largest. What do you think the average coops are that you
My 3 most popular sizes are the 6x10, the 8x12, and the 8x15.
I think that's your sweet spot, right? Because people can buy for, I won't say reasonable, but for less than $1,000, you can buy a coop that holds 4 chickens, right?
Yeah, I mean you can buy
So
a very
there's
small. Yeah,
so many options out there for the backyarders who think they want 3 and 4 chickens. And then, you get into the hundreds of chickens and now you're building buildings for them. Do you know what
yeah.
I mean? Like, but the big walk-in coops are just not available in any price range that seems like you can handle
Like
it.
for example, my 6x8 there is $9.95.
Okay.
It's 5'7" tall is the standard height. I can build them taller, um, and I specifically have it at that height for a couple of reasons. It makes it's an efficient size for using the lumber, but it also sets and tucks just underneath a privacy fence. So in a lot of neighborhoods, if they want it to be out of the fence line, underneath the fence line, that's a good height for it. The 6x10 that you've got up now is again one of my most popular sizes. You basically have the same coop area as in the 6x8, but you wind up with a larger run area.
Okay. And are people like me annoying? Does everybody want something changed, or do a lot of people just take what like the way
Yeah,
it comes?
I think a lot of people are like yourself. They want to do it. They want the basic structure,
Yeah.
and they want they want it. They want to be able to modify it. And like you said earlier, doing it with wooden structures and making it solid wood, you are able to come in and add things to it, whether it be cut the wire out and add a door out into a larger run. Of course, I can add those doors. I do have customers that ask me to put a door in another location because you're putting it up against a run, and I certainly do that. But you have a lot of people that just simply want to do that project themselves.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of it is because you can't think of everything at once. Do you know what I mean? Like, so having a nice structure to start with. So we talked a little about price. For my first one, I believed I paid out of pocket, but my second one I wanted sooner than I could afford. So you financed that for me. Do you still finance?
Yes, I do. I do offer financing on my structures. Again, I'm a small business, so it's not. I don't really charge a whole lot to do it. I charge $30 to set it up. It's a 50% down payment, and then the balance over 6 months. But it is a way for people to get a coop that they want. That's going to be long lasting and get a little bit quicker than sometimes they might have the funds to do it all at once.
And it's not, you don't finance it for 7 years. I mean,
No, it's basically half down and do it over 6 months.
Okay, so you still have to have most of the money, yeah, and a plan to get it soon. Let me get this back. So I'm for all of you who just know I doing him like I do Jim. I'm just asking him questions. He has no idea what's coming. So you've got a wooden framing and a lot of wire because ventilation. You just from having them, you tend to use fence boards as your instead of plywood or paneling.
That serves a couple of functions. It's cost efficient, and especially with the price of lumber. But as well, if people damage it, it's very easy for them to replace it in the future themselves. So you can just take one off if they back into it with a tractor or something like that. They can replace it themselves. The wire, I don't use any poultry wire. All my wire is 19 gauge, 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch hardware cloth. And I put that on with 1.5 inch narrow staples. So you pretty much have to cut the wire off to get it off. Ventilation wise, I like coops that are ventilated because it keeps the smell down, obviously, but it also allows for the birds to have a healthy environment. In some of the climates up in, whether I sell them in Pennsylvania or Ohio, I'll enclose it a little bit more. But there's also other options, such as we've cut plexiglass to pop in the holes, to cut the wind down, but also still give the birds the light that they need. I like the birds to be my coops to be well lit in that respect.
Yeah, my grow out, part of what I did to it, exactly what you said, is we cut out plexiglass panels because that's my grow out. So in the spring, sometimes they're out there at 4 weeks, 5 weeks old, and when I'm expecting a storm or heavy rain or something like that, I've got panels. Now I don't put them on everywhere, but I put them in strategic places to feel like I'm keeping them safe, and then I just take them down once they're older, and that sort of thing. So, roost bars. Everybody's got lots of opinions on roost bars. You're round and make sure they're on the flat side. Make sure they're on the skinny side. What do you tend to?
Well, I basically 90% of my roosting bars are 1.5 by 1.75 inches. So you've got some bit of a rounding area on it. Those are the ones that I build and put in the coops. I've had customers that have, they'll have metal roosting bars. I've got customers that'll tell me not to put roosting bars in because they want to put their own roosting bars in. A lot of times that's a personal preference or what people have used. I've got a lot of customers that like what they call natural roosting bars, where they'll actually cut a piece of a tree and put it there and weigh it down to give it, I guess, a natural effect. But the ones I put in my coops are about 1.5 inches by 1 3/4 inches.
See, here's me. I'm in the middle of it. I'm gonna go, okay, what is he cutting in half to make his roost bars out of? That's what I was saying.
I'm cutting a nominal 2x4.
Okay.
You cut it in half, and that's the size you get. You get that 1.5 by 1.75 inch.
Yeah. I just recently, based on feedback on the American Poultry Association Facebook page, put 2x3s in as roofs for what I'm building now, and I was frustrated to see that they were more expensive than 2x4s.
Oh yeah,
like wait a minute, I'm buying a smaller board, but I get that, and they're not very good quality. Like I had to sand the dickens out of them to get them to be nice and smooth.
Wood prices, obviously with what's happened in the last 2 years, wood prices have almost tripled on a lot of the items, and things are harder to come by. But you just have to plan that a little bit to get those resources.
Speaking of, I know for me, because I'm special. I'm kidding, I'm not special. But I didn't have to wait for my coops at all. Are you running a big backlog?
My typical turnaround is 2 to 3 weeks. Sometimes if you're in one of those outlying geographical areas, it'll be slightly longer than that. But again, I'm typically delivering 4 and 5 coops at a time. In your case, it was 20 of the small ones. That was a trailer full.
Yeah.
But no, I'm running about 2 to 3 weeks. I've got a great couple of people that work with me at the farm in Randleman that help me build them. I actually am involved in every delivery. I actually physically deliver every coop and put it together on site. Again, I build them in panels, put together with deck screws. Once I'm there, the typical coop, any of those that's 6 by 10, 8 by 12, 8 by 15, they typically take about 45 minutes to an hour and 15 minutes to put together once I'm on site. So it's a challenge in that respect, but I've been able to keep that 2 to 3 week turnaround.
That is impressive. You must be doing this full time. This is not a part-time job for you.
I started doing it absolutely full time in January of 2017. Okay. I've expanded my facility 3 times now, so it's been good.
Good. Nesting boxes. I've not let you put any nesting boxes in my stuff yet because, again, something I want to do. But what do you? Is there a certain number you do for how big the size is, or?
The smallest size coop I build is a 3 foot by 6 foot, which is a small coop. That one would have 2 nesting boxes in it. Most of my 6-foot coops, I put 3 nesting boxes in. Now I can alter that and put as many in or as few in. I go by the standard rule that you need a nesting box for every 4 to 5 hens. So most of them I do a minimum of 3 in just because that sets up nicely. Size-wise, my nesting boxes are about 11 inches by 13.5 inches on the inside.
That's good because that's big enough that's part of the reason I never want people to put them in because my first coop I bought, I was like, okay, maybe a leghorn could lay in that, but my big black Australorps are not laying any eggs in that.
Yeah, and mine are nice size because again, I'm selling to people that have a variety of different things, and I'll make alterations. If it's a coop for bantams or silkies or something like that, I'll lower the nesting boxes because they don't like to lay in nesting boxes anyway. But I'll lower the nesting boxes. I build coops for different types of bird, whether it be turkeys or ducks and things like that too. So they're easily customizable in that respect. To make a few changes.
Where do you put them in the coop? So I'm pretty sure you're not going to say you put them straight above the roosting bars, right? But
no, they're set at the end there, close. In those pictures, they're at the. Most of those pictures are going to be at the right end. Like in that coop, they're at the right of the solid area there. They're at the very end, and there is a door to reach in to get the nest. Get the eggs from the outside. Very easy access for egg collection.
No side picture coming up right away, but okay, never mind. I'm just checking. But yeah, but below the roost, right? Below the roost bars, so
yes.
that it hopefully won't get slept in.
Yep.
All right, and ventilation, we sort of talked about it. A lot of it's going to depend on your location, right? But you're a believer in the almost not the more the better, but almost the more the better.
I believe that air circulation is important. Again, it keeps any smells down. The birds have fresh air. It makes for me and what I've seen, it makes for a lot more pleasant environment. Some customers ask me to make that door solid, which is fine, and I can make it solid. It cuts down a little bit of ventilation, but it also, it's what the customer wants. I believe if you go back to your picture, 3/4 of that door was solid.
Yep, I'm gonna bring that back up. Yeah, I wanted, like always, it's like, oh, I had done one that was totally open. Then I was like, for my quarantine one, I think I want it to be a little bit more closed off. And it turns out that I have used the quarantine side of it without opening it up to the run quite a few times, even with people who are just need to put their birds somewhere. So it's like, I don't want to get, put them in just a little part and let them chicken hotel for a night. Since I designed to clean it out and not use it again for a while after that. But yes, that's why I said you've been very nice to make lots of changes for me. Let's see. Predator protection. I put this under the predator protection category because we haven't done very much of it. But I'm gonna go back to before I show it again. Back to this picture. So even something that's missing in a lot of the bigger coops is a way to actually, you have ability to shut them off from that run completely and lock them in the little side, at night. In this version, I know you have other ones that are just open. But I like, some being able to lock them up a little bit tighter at night. But do you recommend people do anything to coops to keep birds safe?
I've got coops that center door hasn't been closed in years because that whole structure is secure. Some of the things that I suggest for making a coop or a coop area even more secure is running hardware cloth around the outside of the coop at the base, because then it'll give a barrier. I like to order the 3-foot hardware cloth from Amazon and just roll it out around the entire coop. And a lot of my customers wind up doing that after I leave because it's a cost-efficient way of creating a barrier for digging predators. Some of the other things you can do, you can buy the motion sensitive solar lights that go on that like at the end of your garage. You can buy them at any of your big box retailers and just screw those right on, and that gives you a lot of protection from some of your nighttime predators. But I think the single biggest security issue is the way that the wire is attached to the structure itself. And again, that's the reason I use 1.5-inch narrow staples to staple that hardware cloth on there, because it really makes it a lot more secure.
And it's stapled on the inside, right?
Correct.
Okay. So not on the outside where they're pulling with it. They're pulling.
It's stapled on the inside, multiple staples, and then the top layer and the bottom layer overlap in the center, so you get a double staple there. It makes it for a lot tighter fit and from an appearance standpoint, but also from a security standpoint.
I think in some of these pictures you'll see people have put it on bricks or put it on boards or put it on pavers, and that might be more to protect the coop than to protect what's inside the coop. I'm not sure, but is there any site preparation you recommend for people before?
My coops, one of the things about the design of this particular style, it's very flexible, and because it's a heavy structure, it does settle a little bit. So the ground doesn't have to be perfectly level. It can be on a slight incline. So it really works pretty well that you don't have to do a lot of site preparation. But then again, I do have customers that do everything from a complete concrete pad to cinder blocks or all sorts of things. And I have put pavers down for them and stuff. But the one thing that a lot of that is more for their protection from the coop standpoint. It does create a hard place for anything to dig in. But I've got people that do all sorts of things from a preparation standpoint.
And Beth said she has electronet around her poultry yard, and I do too. So that's my main, what I think of is I have a chain link fence, a short chain link fence that I think of as like a physical barrier. And then inside of the chain link fence, I have like way inside, I have poultry netting between my coops, and then the coop, and then the runs, and then the coop. So, but still, nothing's foolproof. But
as I told you earlier, I'm building a 20 by 40 structure right now to use as a grow out coop. And one of the things I am doing at the very bottom is putting the hardware cloth down, but I'm also putting another layer of hardware cloth directly beneath where the boards and all will be attached as well. Again, to give it that digging prevention, little extra security.
Not that I want to keep showing this, but I think this one, I actually put down welded wire under the whole thing, since I knew I wasn't going to use it very often. You know what I mean? I feel like that's when stuff lives in there the most. So since I wasn't going to, I put rolls of welded, like not just hardware cloth, but actual welded wire underneath that whole bottom part. But you'd never know it now. But back in the, all right, let's see. All right, I'm going to go through the slide deck because that's what I want to do now. Because I feel like a lot of stuff will come. So we've looked at a bunch of the lodge pictures here. Let's see. Ben says that electric fencing does a great job there against fox, martins, and raccoons. I like his little emojis there. So we just keep getting bigger. Let's see. 8 by 24. So that, were you putting the pavers down for this one? Looks like maybe you were doing that.
Yeah, they had pavers go around the corners because they were going to come back in, and they were going to actually do an extended run behind that a bit, and they were going to put those pavers on the corners to give it a little bit more stability when they put their new fencing down.
So 10 by
That's
24.
10 by 24, and they had actually had those. Those are pavers that they had already had in place when I got there. they had dug them out and placed them nice and level.
Yeah, I was gonna say. All right, so he's not the first one to ask me. Erica's not the first one to ask me this, but how does the snow work with the flat roofs on a lot of your coops?
Works really well. I mean, it does have bracing. I mean, I do have bracing in the roof, so it will hold a load. And the water and the rain flows off really well. I do have customers that ask me to add a slight pitch, and I can add a slight pitch to the roof as well.
Just make it a little shorter than the 5.7 in the back, right? That was
Actually, just add a little bit of height to the front
okay.
or the back if they want, depending on which way they want it.
Yeah. I don't have any flat land, therefore none of my coops the roofs are actually flat because every coop is sitting at an angle in some direction. So I haven't had to worry about flat roofs because I've never seen one. So I don't know if you have anything to say about all these, but I asked you for a bunch of pictures because I felt like that would help us.
Is the homesteader style I build, and that particular coop there is an 8x15 homesteader. It's got the gable roof. It's a style preference that some people like the gable roof. And it's a little bit more expensive to build the gable roof coop just because of the time involved in building the gables.
Is it shorter? I feel like they look shorter, but it might just be the roofing that makes them look.
The height to the top of that door is 4 inches shorter than the height of the doors of the other ones.
And you've got, I can't point. I'm pointing on my screen like you can see me, but the wind protected area is on the far side, on the opposite side of the egg door and the roost. Is there a separate roost up there for them?
The roosting bars in that one run the entire length of basically that small poultry door to the left.
Okay.
And so all the wind and everything, your birds are protected up in that area. Okay. So they're totally up in the roof line, if you would.
Okay. Let's see. So is that a similar
style? And that one's actually got, they wanted a separate roosting area enclosed in the back end of that one on the left side of that photograph.
Do you still paint some?
I do. The painting is available. When I first started, I painted them red, hunter green, and tan. But now I will paint them just about any color. Some people want them to match shutters or to match a barn or whatever. So if they give me the paint number, I can match the paints very easily now.
When speaking of that first one that I said I added a second story to it, and I had to ask you what kind of paint you used, and you told me, and so then I had to go to, at that time, Sherwin-Williams, and I was like, oh my gosh, this can of paint was like $70. It's like, how expensive of a paint did you use?
Well, the thing I found real quick with it is when you're painting raw wood, the better the paint, the more coverage you get. So it's sometimes a lot cheaper to use a higher grade paint with the higher quality pigments and primer already in it. So it's a one coat done and you're done.
Well, and you're painting pressure treated wood fairly quickly upon manufacture, right? So that's always a little tricky. Like
it is, and that's one of the reasons you want a better quality paint. Okay. Because it'll adhere to it.
Yeah, it still looks great. Looks great. What is it, 2014? So that's been lots of years, and it still looks good. All right. There we go. I'm trying to. That's another homesteader-ish type thing?
Yes.
All right. Just going through. All right. Now we got a backyard.
That's actually a duck coop there, but it was it's got the extended run off the side.
Okay. I'll just show how much more enclosed this one on the living side. Okay, so I see going up there. All right, this is my favorite one so far. It's a big empty box with some sheltered area.
That's a 10 by 10, and I've sold that as a chicken coop, as a goat house, as a catio, and as for sheep as well. So I've sold that same style. And again, it's very versatile because you can put a lot of different things in there.
Yeah.
I believe that particular one there was actually a turkey coop.
Okay. But lots of bracing, like I said, ventilation, protection from the elements from lots of sides. You got a big human door and then a smaller, large door. And I like you. That's another thing. You put big doors on it. Lots of chicken coops come with this little tiny pop door where, like, if one chicken sits in it, nobody else can get in or out. So I mean, I like the chicken doors to be pretty big so that nobody can block it from everybody else going to bed or coming out in the mornings. All right. That one's got all sorts of things going on there.
Yeah, that one's it was actually, I actually put that one on 4x4. Some people want it. I mean, again, I can put it on 4x4. Some people have the 4x4s in place when I get there, but that one's actually a 8x15 homesteader that was set on 4x4s.
And that's the egg door. We were talking earlier about
Yeah, that's the egg door.
that's the egg door on the side to reach into the nest boxes right beneath it. So this is that small homesteader, right?
That's a 5.5x8.
And that just from this picture, that stuff in the bottom middle, is that just you getting it prepared, or is there some sort of brace in the or roost
Where at?
on the bottom of that one? There's like
Yeah, that was
the,
just getting it prepared.
okay, that's what I was thinking. That didn't stay there. So there's another.
That's a 4x6 homesteader that the gentleman over in Chapel Hill had me come back over and add the extended run. He first bought the coop, and then he had me to come back and add that 10-foot run off the back of it.
Yeah. And all of these smaller ones would work great for breeding families. So this one looks cold. Looks like they're cold there. Yeah. But look at that. The same 3 doors. They're just all put together on that one. So there we go. Any idea how big that one is total?
That's a 6x8 enclosed homesteader with a 6-foot by 6-foot extended run off the end.
Looks like you got a fancy roof color on there too. Is that a?
That's actually just a color. I mean, I guess the picture looks like that, but
Okay.
You can't change any color that they make in the 29 gauge galvanized metal. I can certainly do the colored roofs.
I think just thinking about your siding being something different than T1 siding or plain plywood. It's versatile. You can hit almost any width and length of and I think some of them you still have that you are able to use the dog-eared parts, but lots of times it looks like you cut them off.
And that's a 6x8. I call it a hen house. That customer really didn't want to run on the coop, so I do build that. Really, what it is, it's the same structure as the lodge, minus the run area. And typically in that one, it's got more roosting bars in it and more nesting boxes because they've got a larger quantity of chickens that they're actually having only housed in there, that they're not going to utilize the run.
Right. So free ranging or within another structure during the day and just sleeping in there probably.
And up there on the right, that's a pair of the solar lights that I was talking about from a security standpoint.
Come on with the motion. I put some of those up over at my rental place. I bought 3 different kinds. I couldn't decide, and 2 of them still work. So I now know which kind I don't want. It stops working after less than a month. So that one looks bigger than their house. But
yeah, that's actually a 10x20.
I'm trying to figure out how many panels is that side when you take it. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4.
That would have been 7 panels total.
Okay. Those are big panels. You must bring help with you when you.
Lots is most of the time I do on the larger one, certainly.
Yeah.
That is an 8x15, and the customer wanted it totally enclosed. So that one's got that's a solid door on it, and there's no ventilation at the top because that's the way the customer wanted it.
So, did you try to talk them out of that? No, I'm just
No,
kidding.
I try to listen to what what the customers want and give them exactly that.
That's
And personally, people have their preferences. Sometimes it's what they've grown up with, and sometimes people just simply know what they want, and we
when
can
he dropped
accommodate that.
when he dropped off my 20 little ones, he's like, when we build the next ones, I can put some ventilation in them for you if you want. So he gave me a hint that I needed. um,
And that's a 12 by 15.
and that one looks like it only does it have doors from the outside too, or does
That's got an. I mean, I can do doors anywhere. That customer only wanted one door to the to the exterior. So you see that door there to the exterior.
Yeah.
It's got internal doors in it.
Yeah.
But their philosophy was that the less doors they have, the more secure their birds are.
They are sort of a weak spot. All right, now we're getting into responsible chicken breeding. So you not only do you breed yourself some birds, but you build a lot of coops for breeders, don't you?
Correct. That particular coop there is an 8 by 12. It's divided into 3 or 4 3 by 8 areas. Each section has a wall between it, and that can be built in any size. I mean, you can. I've got some that have been. I built a 12 by 40, which had 9 coops in it. So the coop sizes can be built, or the subdivided sections can be any size the customer wants.
And this one looks like it's built with the divisions being the hardware cloth top to bottom, right?
It is up until the back section. I put a little wall between the very back section just to separate the birds back there if they want privacy. I mean, if the customer wants a little bit of privacy for the birds themselves.
And that's probably breed specific. You're not going to put an American game in this all up next to each other.
It is basically, whatever they're breeding.
Yeah. But my birds would be okay, mostly in that type. So I can't even tell how many coops. I think that's maybe 2 coops, but
yeah, that's actually 2, and they wanted dividing walls in between the coops and the run. So there's obviously had to be a door into each run section.
Yeah.
As well. That coop there is an 8 by or 10 by 28.
Okay. See, nobody builds them that big. I appreciate you.
And that's the one we talked about earlier. That's a 12 by 32. Coops on both ends. And they've got, and it's again, that customer wanted one walk-in door and then the one poultry door out on the front and one on the back. So they can let their birds out on either side there.
Yeah. That. Hold on. Let's see what Larry has to say. He says, "Nice coops, quality work makes mine look rustic." Chicken coops are supposed to look rustic. So he used an old shed and added a run. So that's great. Not everybody has the old shed. I did that too. We had 2 sheds on property. I was able to take one of them down and make it a chicken coop, but unfortunately I can't. I wish I had more sheds just sitting around my household, but I don't. Let's see. So looks like you built some freestanding roosts in that one.
Yeah, that's an 8 by 24. That gentleman's son up in Blacksburg, Virginia, was actually paying his way through Virginia Tech, selling eggs. So he actually was had a lot of birds that stayed in there at night, but he was actually selling the eggs and paying his way through Virginia Tech.
Wow. That's what.
That's an 8 by 18 double coop.
There you go. Now we're getting into somewhere.
that coop there with a 10 by 16. That's 2 10 by 16s with 3 sections, 2 5 by 10s and a 6 by 10 in the center. She also breeded, and she actually wound up buying two more 4-section coops that went right beside those.
Yeah, it's when you're breeding, it's hard. I mean, right now I'm up until this current move, I have everybody running loose inside of almost everybody running loose inside of poultry netting. But with breeding birds, where they really need to stay in their breed specific group, so you know who the mama is and who the daddy is, and then just for exhibition birds, a lot of them need to stay out of the sun, and like I said, you just need to keep them safe. So I, these coops with runs with just a necessary thing.
Yeah.
So, all right. Got into some PVC feeders for this one.
Yeah, that's an 8x18. And I do build a PVC gravity feeders as well.
Has there been anything else people have asked for? I know I'm just asking this question that you've then turned around and incorporated into your coops on a regular basis?
You know, the freestanding roosting bars, I've been adding some of those. I don't do a lot of the nippled waters myself, and the reason I've chosen not to do it is unless you're willing to change the O-rings out, they will leak. So I built those for a while, and then I had a couple of customers complain that they leaked. So I investigated it, and really, if you're not willing to go in and change the little O-rings out, they're going to leak. So I just haven't done a whole lot of them. But you'll get asked for that, and then I get asked for automatic doors, and I can certainly install the automatic doors, and I've installed just about every one of them out there. I've certainly got my favorites of them. So from a longevity standpoint.
So if people are looking for something, make sure they can also ask you before they just what you recommend. All right, I'm going to get to the end of these. So
that's an 8x15 double coop. Again, it's split into halves. The lady was doing bantams on one side, and she had her regular birds on the other side.
This actually it's not very predator protected.
No, that's actually a chicken coop with a running goat shed at the end.
Ah,
so it's an 8x18 coop with the last 5 feet of it is actually a running goat shed.
After people buy chicken coops for you, do they ever call you and ask if you can just build them a shed?
Yes, I built sheds, built goat sheds, pigeon lofts, all sorts of things.
Thinking. All right.
That's a 10x32 double coop, coops on both ends. There. Beautiful. And it is divided in the middle. That one actually has a door that on the inside as well that she can open it up and let the birds go between them, or she can separate it.
And that's sort of what might grow out. Like, so I put boys on one side and girls on another. And then when the boys mostly go away, then the girls get the whole area. So that makes sense for that.
That's the other when the lady that I told you bought the two 10x16s, that's her larger version, which is a 10x24, just divided into 6. She liked the size 6x10 coop. So the next set she bought, she actually went ahead and got larger ones. And that's got 4 6x10 coops in one, really.
All right. And then, not quite sure. I think I just stuck this one on the end because I realized I forgot it. So
that's an 8x10 goat shed actually there. That one, again, it's that version that I can alter and make it really whatever people really want.
Yeah, so the goat shed needs more protection on the door, right? So they don't just go right through
the door. And they don't, and it's also got the second set of 2x4s around the bottom, so they don't bang into it with their heads.
Okay. And you have started now going mobile, because most of all those coops we showed before, for the most part, were stationary, unless somebody had a really large tractor or something to move them, right?
Correct.
So these look like they're built in the John Siskovich style.
They're definitely built off of his style with a few alterations. So So I mean, it's a great style. It's a great functional chicken tractor, easily moved. Some of the alterations that I made, the roofing in mine are wood, not the metal pipes. I like the wood from a solid standpoint. It's also got. I've moved I put a handle on the reverse end, so I put the wheels on the opposite end and put a handle on it. It makes it a little bit easier for one person to move versus the rope and having to pull it. I found the handle just makes it a little bit easier to move, but it's a
And
great design.
And I'm assuming like everything else, right? So if I wanted to order one of these, I'd just be like, don't put a tarp on it. I want to get my own, or I want to.
Yeah, I mean, you could say. I mean, and again, I've got hardware cloth on the entire thing. The center section of that roof doesn't have hardware cloth on it, but beyond that, I went ahead and used hardware cloth around the whole bottom as well as over the roof. So when you take that tarp off, there is hardware cloth. It's a 6x10, so there's hardware cloth on 6 feet of the 10-foot.
Nice. All right, that's the last of the pictures, but I do have a question for you here. Caroline Wilson wants to know, for people west of the Mississippi, do you ever sell plans for your?
Where are you located?
I should know the answer to that, but she might be able to tell us. But so no plans as of yet, though, right?
No, well, actually, I'm planning on starting shipping as of next year.
Okay.
I do get a lot of requests out west, I'll say. I do have a couple of coops going towards Little Rock, so I will have coops in Arkansas soon, and I get a lot of requests from up in Oklahoma, so I will be.
She's in Kansas. I felt like it was Kansas, but I didn't want to commit to that.
So. That's a little far for me unless she's buying a lot of coops.
I don't know. She might actually be up for that. Just same thing. You have the Cisco style tractors. Do you think there's any other of your styles that you could lend to if they wanted to be mobile structures?
Yeah, I've put wheels on anything up to about basically an 8x12. I don't really like to go larger than a 6x12, just because of weight. There's a couple of wheel kits out there that are much better than others, and you can use them. But once you get, and with my coops, once you get larger than about a 6x12, it's just a heavy structure to be moving around. I can put the coops on skids, on 4x4 skids that you can pull with the tractor. If somebody wants a large coop, and I've built several of them, it's better to put it on an actual trailer, because if you put it on a trailer, then you can go out there with a lawn tractor or any vehicle and move it around, and you're much more likely to move it around with an ATV or a lawn tractor or something like that.
Have you designed any of those egg mobiles or the structure on the tractor?
I've got several of them, and for the most part, I built one that I actually put on a trailer that I purchased and sold that away. Often it's a customer that's got, whether it be an old boat trailer or an old trailer of their own, I'll get the trailer and I'll build it on their trailer. It's more cost efficient for them at that point. And it also, I can specifically build it to their trailer specs.
All right. Well, you have been excellent, and I really appreciate it. I mean, just one last question. So anybody who's just trying to build their first coop, I think we hit a bunch of things, but do you have any, your advice earlier was to plan it out, but do you have any other major tips for someone?
You can use a lot of different, raw sources, materials. I suggest that you use deck screws to put it together, because if you make a mistake, you can always reverse the deck screw out, versus nailing. Makes it a lot more solid. It can be dismantled and re-put together. I personally like a strong galvanized metal roof. You can get it cut to any size, and it makes it a lot stronger from a roofing standpoint. A lot of times when people build homemade coops, that's where they get into a little trouble, is when they're doing the doors, doing the roofing, and if you're not very skilled at building, um, my suggestion is that you build a simple coop, and then you can always add to it later and get a little bit more in depth with it. But simple in a chicken coop, in my experience, is a lot better than very complicated. Make it convenient for yourself as well. Some of the coops that you can buy online, or you can buy, say they're for 12 chickens, and we get them and we realize real quick that they're not. I mean, when I first started with it, I purchased one of those, and it said it was for 12 chickens. I realized real quick it's for 12 chicks, not 12 chickens. So keep in mind the size you're going to have, but simple is real easy to start with, and that's a good place to start.
All right, I'm going to put your contact information back up here because hopefully somebody's probably going to be interested, it sounds like. But Facebook's the best way to reach you. Sounds like the Chicken Partner. You'll find that, and like I said, I like looking at his pictures he puts up because everyone's a little different, and I feel like it gives me ideas every time. And I hope you stay. Oh, I forgot one little thing. Today is his birthday. So that was extra nice of you to come on and talk to us on your
Thank
birthday.
you.
I'm going to turn 50 in 2 days. So we actually have birthdays very close to each other.
Well,
so
happy birthday to you as well.
Yeah. So birthday week, celebrate. But thank you so much for coming. Everybody else, we're the next 2 weeks we are going to skip because of Thanksgiving. The kennel is extremely busy over holidays. So I need to be at work instead of here. But we'll see you back. Jim is hopefully he didn't make it today, but he promised that first week in December we'll be back on that Monday. So thanks everybody for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.